Hello, I want to make this video just to give context to context, because I made a summarization video of my experience in the clinic a while back, but I thought I would release them straight after recording that video, but I wasn't really in the right space to do it and I couldn't get the energy up, so hadn't thought about it for a long time, and just recently or today kind of come back to me that I'm going to do this, so that's why I'm recording this video. Couple things that stuck out to me when I was rewatching them. It's like there's some really cringy parts. At one part I say that I think I'm a genius and I imply that I think that I'm God. So yeah, the reasons why I was like, man, do I really want to post this, and I'm saying that I feel like killing someone, and there's like some pretty intense things. So yeah, I guess I'm a little bit more lucid now, and one thing that stuck out to me that I didn't mention in the videos was at one point the Professor Umbridge, the doctor, one of the doctors, she's negotiating with me. She wants me to take medication, and it's like, you either take the medication or we're going to tie you down. Like, this is how they kind of operate. So that was one thing that kind of like I didn't mention, which was very disgusting, and wanted to point that out. And I guess I will share briefly where I'm at now. I definitely feel like I'm in a much better space. Have a really good therapist. I mentioned a few things. So I guess what really shifted and has helped me has been like recognizing that this pain that was caused inside of me is like something I have to really validate and like live out, because I think the way I was trying to deal with it the past year or so was like uh, in a way giving myself time to heal, but at the same time having pressure of like, I should be working and I should be, doing stuff, and I can't, like, I'm not functioning. And okay, my mum was like, let's try go to a mental hospital, and I was kind of like, pretty traumatized about that. And yeah, I was open to, I guess, yeah, experiment, and even though I think I had preconceived notions and ideas that it wouldn't be the right thing, simply, I'll get into that in a bit. But I was like, oh, let's give it a go. Let's see the process and how this works. And yeah, maybe 3, 4, 5 months ago, I kind of was like, this isn't like following that script, and taking these drugs and stuff isn't like, yeah, it's not really changing anything. And the way, yeah, it was good to go through it and get the experience firsthand, but and sort of be open to it. But just realizing, I think, where that science is at and how the diagnostics process works and everything, it's just very low tech and not really so helpful for people. It's got a long way to go. It's not very, does help some people, but for a lot of people they don't really get relief. So I my therapist was quite good, and we kind of come in one of the conversations, we did an exercise where she was kind of like, this topic kind of come up where we was just talking about, I guess, the anger, and like how I guess I'm kind of suppressing it and not feeling like it's okay to feel that way and to be hateful or to be upset. And she was like, all right, let's do an exercise, like write a letter to someone, one of these people that you're upset at. And it took a while to get the words out, but the first thing that kind of came out was like very heavy. It was like, yeah, I want to kill you, like, and then, more words kind of came out, and it's like very dark in a certain sense, but yeah, getting in touch with that essence and allowing it to sort of drive me forward, like using it as a tool to help find motivation and direction, has been very good. So yeah, I think one of the things, like bits of wisdom she kind of shared, was, you can be angry, and some things might not be considered a good action to take, like breaking something or hurting somebody, but you can still have that anger and sort of utilize it. So yeah, I really did feel that anger was so strong. It was like I want to, like, there's very intrusive thoughts and beliefs, and also engaging with them of like, I want to plan like a murder. Like it was so intense, and uh, kind of, yeah, battling with that, and like the one hand trying to allow that to be there, and like I guess trusting that I don't really need to go that route because it's not really something I want in my life, and I would, yeah, like, but kind of like just hopefully trusting that the energy shifts and sort of heals over time, and like can be channeled in the right direction, a constructive, healthy way. But I was like, hey, like if it doesn't, and this is me now, like this is how I be healthy, and it's better to be that than be in my room and just like not functioning. So yeah, that integration of like the evil or anger has been a journey, but I have been very motivated to like get back to my projects, and it started out trying to be very grounded, just like, look, I'm just like, I'll figure out what's sort of interesting to me and I'll just do that. Like I'll do some software development, and it kind of developed and like started going back to these origins of like what made me start the dream organism project of like wanting to, in essence, have an optimal solution to like the world's problems. And it was like, oh, am I back here at this point? Like I didn't want to be like doing that, like I didn't, this is too much, like this is too heavy of a thing. And I guess, yeah, all things are in a way somehow related, right? So when I look at code and interactions with people and technology, I don't know, like the themes keep sort of popping out to me. And um, yeah, in the summarization video, I kind of shared this wisdom of like, we don't really know, and that would be a good thing to teach people, that we don't really know things. And that has been something that I've recently, gotten back to, that realization, which is, yeah, sort of being aware of that fact is not easy, because a lot of us are indoctrinated to believe things that are in fact not true, and that we, yeah, and yeah, I've been like getting into a bit of quantum physics, and one of the professors kind of said, it's quite funny. He said, no one knows anything about like quantum physics. Like no one gets it. Like this is like the bad news, I guess. But I guess it's also good news for you, because you don't have to really beat yourself up. And then he's like, so yeah, like the beginning of this course now, like I'm the only person who doesn't get it, and after the week or whatever, like you'll all be like, none of you will get it. So that was very interesting, and we do see a harmonization of like the sciences as well as different spiritual organizations or cultures or whatever, like having this insight of like we kind of in a fundamental way don't understand anything. And another way that I formulated this, which has been more helpful, instead of saying like, okay, I don't know, which is a little bit like sounds like kind of weak or negative, is like to say it's possible. So whenever anyone says anything, like it's because you don't really know, right? It is feasible, like whatever it could be. And opening your mind up in that way is very trippy, but yeah, and so I've kind of embodied this idea that it's better to teach something that you kind of know, and if you don't know, like you should be very honest about that. And so yeah, I have a very deep desire to know truth, or know God, or know, I guess if I bring it back into like reality, it's like it would be nice to have an optimal solution to depression and to have an optimal solution to many things. But if in my world of like software development, like there's a lot of unnecessary work and repetition being done, and beliefs that people have, and communication, and there's a lot of mistakes and errors, and a lot of people don't know what they're really doing, like in life. So but they think that they kind of know, so they kind of just spinning their wheels. And so I kind of like back very much so invigorated in the project, and see the possibility of if I can somehow touch this nexus of like love or truth or God, or like this deep wisdom that is out there. And because of some of the weird experiences I have, which I kind of like analyzed and extrapolated and tried to like say, okay, maybe the world is like that, and this is how it is, but not actually really knowing, I realized it's like, okay, like I don't want to do that anymore. Like I have a couple of ideas how I might touch that inner thing and like really come to that understanding of like, okay, is what is being said and taught by different cultures and traditions about the ephemeral aspect of life, and different dimensions or spirituality, or is it possible to cure the blind, like what Jesus did, right? Like walk on water, perform miracles, or whatever these stories that we have, like are they actually, as I said before, right, like anything potentially possible? Like that's not what we've been taught, but kind of like, well, okay, like is that really, don't know. But I'm really driven for many reasons. One, like the pain I think that I've suffered and that I see in other people, like my parents or friends and things like that. But yeah, I did mention that this kind of George Floyd incident, which was just really disgusting, and just this sort of evil out in the world really upsets me. And I'd like to like be able to kind of correct that at the root issue and not at the symptomatic level. So that involves kind of what is the cause. And for me, it does seem like that the cause is like at the very subconscious, deepest level of awareness, or the central flowing point of energy or frequency, or another way to say it is like God himself is maybe needs to be taught a lesson, or like educated or improved, or perhaps what some of the other cultures say, they say this kind of people or entities or aliens or someone put up a kind of an energy field around the earth, which is kind of like keeping our frequency down and influencing things in a certain way. So people have these sort of ideas, and it does seem like there is a pervasive sort of I guess evilness, or just another way is just maybe the universe hasn't developed fully yet into being a place that I think would be more joyous or more self-corrective, or I don't know. Anyway, we're going kind of like the weeds now, but I really want it to like not really have hypothesis, but I really want to kind of be certain. I'm like, okay, now I have experienced and I have done these things. If it's possible to walk on water, I want to do it. And like once that's established, then you can kind of have a different outlook and tackle mathematics and try to like, how can you actually integrate that into the world, that knowledge? So there's a couple of issues that I see, like this sort of making assumptions and having beliefs about things that they're not really the case. Like, that pops up everywhere: philosophy, maths, all the sciences, and all the interactions we have. And I, kind of my path forward at the moment is around really, getting, first of all, clarity on that. Try to get as close as I can to that essence of truth, and that might mean merging. Maybe that means trying to merge these two fields in physics that haven't yet got a unified theory. It could mean other things. The world is very complex, and it's really hard to understand all the different phenomena, and they don't make any sense. Some particles have mass, others don't. Light is constant speed across different relative points, but everything else isn't. It's relativistic, and it's just like, what? So, it's really tough, but I think approach. Sorry, I am skipping all over the place here, but trying to get an approach which is going to be embedded as close as I can in this truth. So, I think, trusting in my own self, in my own wisdom and power and intelligence, and trying to become a strong individual and trying to elevate others in the same vein is definitely a central tenet of my thinking. And so the idea is to be able to make software development and software and computation and AI parametric, which is essentially, I had the experience as when I was working as a 3D modeler, draftsman. I designed, or was given the task to model up a bus stop with different benches, and the software is pretty cool. Like, what you can do, which not a lot of people did, but it's definitely possible. Like, instead of defining things sort of statically, like this thing is 2 meters long and this thing is like 5 centimeters down from that angle and 2 in, essentially kind of defining everything, or most of the things that would or potentially could change if, for instance, the bench should be longer now, or we need to take into consideration a higher factor of safety, or use a different material. Like that, you input that in an Excel spreadsheet, and then those inputs would be fed into the 3D modeling system, and everything was defined in terms of relationships with each other. How many benches there were, how far they, like, whether there's someone on the other side, what was the elevation of the ground. And of course you don't take into account everything, but by capturing the necessary things that you care about, it was possible to, in a matter of kind of seconds, just updating the Excel spreadsheet, get a output which was exactly what you wanted. So, theoretically, if you have that same task again, it's very easy. You can leverage a lot of that wisdom without needing to go and update all the individual static elements. So in software at the moment, everything is really static. We do see improvements in compiler technology and AI and so on, but there's not a lot of reuse and meshing, and there's a lot of waste and a lot of abuse as well, data breaches, security, there's just so many egregious things going on. And there's a couple of AI companies, the one that I know of, which was started by a engineer from Tesla, where he had a similar observation. He was saying that, I think he put it like this, like they're trying to capture, or he felt like they're trying to capture infinity. They're essentially grabbing all this data, trying to account for all the scenarios and process that, which as a strategy may give some results, right? Like, it may bring us an okay solution, but it's a lot of effort, and computation is a finite resource. It's very expensive and may not be an optimal solution. So people could have accidents and die, and we do tolerate errors, and it's an improvement, but can we do it a different way? So they've kicked off. I haven't looked into the details of it, but like basing their AI sort of model on category theory and inductive reasoning, I think they said it was, which sounds very, very interesting and similar in thinking to my potential approach. But they're I don't know in which way they're going to work, right? I think they have funding. They got 30 million or something, A series or whatever, and they're looking for very highly educated PhD, 5 years of experience in this and that, and I think that's great, but it's like a huge barrier to entry, and it's very much embedded in the old way or the current way that the world operates, and like with funding and just needing to have a degree and like all of these kind of idioms which aren't really, they kind of put hurdles in place, and I think it's good to operate and leverage existing systems where you can, but not to be held back by them. And I see that as a thing that potentially could happen. So I would like to detach myself from those things. And so on the one side, there's this interest in focusing very heavily on the AI, which is also very hard. It's a very big problem. And then the other side, which is there's interesting harmony between these ideas, like the decentralization of governance, and ultimately wanting to give individuals power and freedom and spreading that out. So as a way to kind of piggyback the system, we'll be utilizing the Cardano blockchain to do a token. And the reason for picking Cardano is just because the values of their community are in high alignment with those of my own. They do a lot of research and thought outside of the box to kind of, let's use functional programming, and let's use literature and really go back to those roots of like what is computation, and bring in experts and professors of functional programming and type theory and category theory and lambda calculus and all this amazing stuff, which is awesome. Math is definitely the tool to be more respected and widely used. So it's great to see that attitude of like wanting to build something great and lasting for the future. So are they building the lasting solution? Not sure, but it's a huge improvement over other things such as Bitcoin, which is very inefficient and very wasteful on energy resources. And I know this isn't really to do about much with the clinic now, but I felt like just sharing where I'm at the moment, and it's still early days. Everything's early. I'm very happy to I finally kind of like shared a lot of these insights. Like, they were kind of new, but I shared them, I guess, with my brother, and he's also recently gotten interested in coding and wanted to potentially do like a startup or something. And I'm very excited to potentially start working, collaborating with him to see if, is this just nonsense in my head, or can we actually, can I teach you and make you see what it is that I'm seeing, and help me sketch a path forward, because I have ideas, but it's just a lot to hold in my head. I've never managed a project and people, and I think at the beginning, it's just about really getting clarity on like these tautologies of life and the axioms getting clarity about that, because I think those will be, if those are correct or more correct, I think the philosophies and the mathematics and the science that flows from that will be of a higher caliber of truth if those tautologies and axioms are closer to the way that things actually are. So that's the plan. And it's like, I guess, just if any people are interested in taking a look at self-adjusting compilation, or different ways that we might progress computation and security AI, application development, human interaction, governance, economics, life, then maybe, I guess, reach out, something like that. I don't know. Yeah, early days, lots to do, but I don't know. Yeah, just, I guess, yeah, take a look at the videos if you want of me being there in the clinic and kind of going through hell. If you want, maybe that's interesting to you, just to see how people can be so evil and not caring. Sometimes that's insightful to just look evil in the face and see that it is very deceptive and it's a master of deceit. So possibly, don't know, right? Maybe I'm just making this all up in my head. So yeah, much love and thank you for listening. If you've listened this far, have a great time on this planet.